have 5 parents identified who will be testifying. So, however you all decided to split that time up is up to you. Did I say Malia Kimrell? Did I say it properly?
You did.
All right. Welcome to the Senate here.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Malia Kimrell. I am a nurse, wife, Minneapolis resident, and mother of 2. My daughter Vivian is a 3rd grader at Annunciation Catholic School. She was injured in the recent mass shooting where 8-year-old Fletcher and 10-year-old Harper were killed when 116 bullets blew through the stained glass windows in 2 terrifying minutes. I continue to do daily dressing changes on several bullet wounds on Vivi's back and arm. Can you even imagine cleansing bullet wounds on your 9-year-old that they suffered while sitting in church? Her bullet wounds will eventually become scars, but the shrapnel embedded inside her will stay with her forever. And the same is true for the emotional trauma she suffered. Our entire community is suffering, but we haven't lost hope. I have a lot to say, but my time here is limited, so I'll cut to the chase. Undoubtedly, there will be another mass shooting, and more kids will die. If you think it won't hit your community and someone you love, think again. It is up to our lawmakers to decide what type of weapon the next mass shooter is armed with. You have that power, and with power comes responsibility. You have a responsibility to keep our kids as safe as possible. Any lawmaker who chooses not to support legislation banning semi-automatic, military-style assault weapons and large-capacity magazines is personally signaling to every child in the state of Minnesota that their safety doesn't matter enough. When the next mass shooting happens, who will be able to say that they at least tried to minimize the lives lost? This is one thing that can be done, one tangible step, one meaningful change, one attempt at keeping our kids safe. I am not naive enough to think that this will solve the problem entirely. There is more that we can do, and we should exhaust all of our options. But doing nothing is not an option. This legislation is what can be done soon, so make it happen. Taking action is our only hope. Our kids deserve to have their safety prioritized above all else. And if you stand in the way of that, shame on you. If you think it's acceptable that kids' lives are sacrificed while semi-automatic rifles can continue to exist here, shame on you. There is a risk and benefit to every decision. Saving kids' lives is the ultimate benefit that outweighs any possible risk. I would do anything to save my child's life. Wouldn't you do the same for yours? If there was a person shooting into a crowded room where your child was innocently sitting, how can you be comfortable with the shooter having easy access to legally buy an AR-15 capable of firing off more than 100 bullets a minute? What if the best option available was a Remington hunting rifle that fires less than 10 bullets a minute? Which option gives your child a greater likelihood of survival? Which option would save countless lives? You have the power to decide what the next mass shooter will or will not be armed with. You have the power to make a difference and have a positive impact on the safety of our kids. I beg you, take responsibility and don't let this opportunity pass you by. Our kids deserve a future filled with hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kimrell. Ms. Damon, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, thank you. Chair Latz, my name is Megan Damon, and I am the mother of 2 Annunciation Catholic School students. They're here today. On August 27th, my children and others were under rapid gunfire for 2.5 minutes. 120 bullets shattered stained glass, ricocheted off pews, and tore into flesh. Fear, death, and destruction followed. All of this was preventable. Children describe how the bullets rained down. The ongoing grief, confusion, disruption, and trauma is our reality. All of this was preventable. Yesterday, I attended the memorial and celebration of life for Harper Moisky, 10. We committed to carry Harper's light forward. Last Sunday, I attended the funeral of Fletcher Merkel, 8. We committed to keeping Fletcher's exuberant energy going. All of this was preventable. I stand in full support of Senator Mohammed's proposal to ban assault weapons. My family is a hunting family. This is not about hunting weapons. This is about assault weapons, which have no place in civilian life. I am a nurse specializing in health promotion and disease prevention for both populations and systems. I see gun violence as a public health crisis. Every day in the U.S., more than 200 people are killed or injured by firearms. All of this is preventable. I urge you to support Senator Mohammed's proposal and to encourage your colleagues in the Senate to vote in its favor when the time comes. We can follow the lead of the 11 states that already banned assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. These states have demonstrated dramatic reduction in injuries and deaths after their bans. We can look to other nations for evidence, for example, Australia, where mass shootings have been eradicated since their ban of assault weapons. There's researchers, Lundberg and colleagues, has the seminal study that statistically analyzed mass shootings in the United States before and after our federal assault weapon ban. Unsurprisingly and unrefusably, there's a reduction in death and injury. The research is clear. Banning assault weapons prevents deaths. No single policy will solve all gun violence, but this step will save lives and protect our children. This ban would have prevented those 120 bullets from raining down on the people assembled at Annunciation Church. Together, we can prevent gun deaths in Minnesota and provide us all a future filled with hope. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Damon. If you would please now return to your seats, and we will invite Carla Maldonado and Brittany Haeg forward.
My name is Carla Maldonado, and I'm the mother of 2 children who survived the shooting at Annunciation Catholic School on August 27th. Thank you for convening this working group and giving me the chance to speak today. Almost 3 weeks ago, my children were at their weekly school mass, praying in a sacred space, when a gunman opened fire on them. 2 innocent children, Harper Moisky and Fletcher Merkel, were killed, just 10 and 8 years old. The morning of August 27th began like any other. I walked my kids the 2 blocks to school, kissed them goodbye, and walked home. Minutes later, my husband and I heard gunshots from our kitchen. My husband knew immediately what they were. I didn't want to believe it. Not here. Not in our neighborhood. But then the second round of shots rang out. My husband said, "Those gunshots are at the school." I ran toward the school. My heart pounded in the pit of my stomach. My mind was flooded with images of my children shot and lying dead in their own pool of blood. I experienced a level of fear and horror I never knew existed. My husband was at the front of the church. He found our 7-year-old, but the relief was brief. He said, "I still don't have Pablo." That's our 11-year-old son. The moments that passed next felt like an eternity. Eventually, Pablo did leave the back of the church through broken glass doors. He was among the group that had sheltered in the basement. My children were among the lucky ones. We got to hug them after school that day. But they are not the same kids that I dropped off that morning. They have nightmares. They flinch at loud noises. They don't want to be alone. They scream for me with a panic in their voices that makes my heart hurt. They ask questions now, like, why does the shooter want to hurt us? As a trauma therapist, I'm well aware of the research of the impacts of trauma on the lives of the individuals who suffered. We are now living that. But you don't need data. You don't need research. What you need to do is to look into the eyes of my 7-year-old at night. As she looks at me and tells me she can't go to sleep because she's afraid there's a shooter in the house. This is our family's new reality. And this is a reality that so many of the families in our Annunciation community are suffering. The truth is, none of us will be the same after this. And I truly hope this can move us forward together, because that is what we need right now for our children. No matter who you are, what community you're from, how much money you make, who you voted for, who you pray to, or if you pray at all, we want the same thing. We want our children to come home safe from school. I implore you, ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. There's one thing that kept more kids from dying on August 27th, and it wasn't a law or a policy. It was church pews. This is not safety for our children. This is not protection for our communities. This is survival by chance. And our children deserve better than this. Do not wait for another child to die. Do not wait for another mother to be sitting here again telling you their story of fear, sorrow, and grief. Because the mothers, we will keep coming. We will keep speaking until our children are safe and until they can rest their heads safely at night, because they know they live in a country full of good people who care about their lives. And they will know this not by the words you speak, but by the actions you take to protect them. Thank you for this opportunity, and for listening, and for acting with the urgency this crisis demands. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Maldonado. Ms. Haeg.
Good morning, co-chairs Latz and Mohammed, members of the working group. My name is Brittany Haeg. I'm an educator and mother of 3. I'm here as a parent whose children survived a school shooting, and as a citizen who believes no child should ever live through the terror mine did. August 27th started like any other back-to-school day. Chaotic, exciting, full of the thrill of something new. My youngest, David, only 6 years old, let me lace up his new black and red sneakers for the 3rd day of first grade and headed to school with his older brother and sister. Then our world shattered. David was shot at the first school mass of the year. His spleen was lacerated, shrapnel scattered through his left side. Bullets grazed the back of his head. He was rushed to Hennepin County Medical Center alongside the middle schoolers who protected him and his classmates. The quick response saved his life. But even as his wounds heal, he carries terror he has no words for. So do I. Annunciation is one in a long line of school shootings, a tragedy made more infuriating by the preventability of it. Other countries, Australia, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, the UK, faced mass shootings and changed laws. Here, our children continue to die because our laws treat guns as more important than human life. We cannot accept our children's lives as the price of inaction. No gun is more important than a child in a school. No gun is more important than a family at church. No gun is more important than any human life. I strongly support measures being proposed today, including prohibiting assault weapons and high-capacity magazines like the ones used in the Annunciation shooting, safe storage requirements, restrictions on ghost guns and binary triggers, repeal of state preemption of local firearms laws, public awareness campaigns for extreme risk protection orders, and the establishment of an Office of Gun Violence Prevention under the Department of Health. David wrote to leaders himself. He said it more simply. I got glass in my head. My buddy got hurt and I think he was bleeding on his head. My body has a scar from getting hurt. I went to the hospital. People shouldn't buy guns, and I think we should get rid of them. Guns are mean and harmful. Proposals that fail to address access to weapons are band-aids at best. Hardening schools is not the answer. Locking down schools further, putting SROs in more schools, arming teachers would not have prevented my son's injuries. Bulletproof glass covering our stained glass is a visible admission of defeat in the face of incomprehensible, preventable violence. These kids knew what to do. They did the drills. They followed the procedures. It didn't save them. Our children should not have to live and grow in fear to protect people who value guns more than human lives. Our children should not have to live in fear because adults don't have the moral courage to do what's right. I've been asked countless times in the last 3 weeks how David is doing. Physically, he's well, but that's only part of the truth. The truth is he's angry. He's scared, and he's confused. So am I. My son survived. That's not true for every family in my community, and I'm here because that survival is not without cost. It's time for a special session before another community feels the impact of this crisis. The time to choose life is now. The time to act is now. Our children cannot wait.
Thank you, Ms. Haeg. If you two testifiers would please return to your seats. We have one more parent to testify. It's Brock Safe. And then if Becca Dryden could also come forward at this time. While they are approaching, I think I will be able to speak on behalf of all of the committee, that to the parents especially that are here and those who were on site or responded on site to Annunciation. Thank you for your courage, and our hearts go out to you and your families. We're very grateful that you came here today to share your stories and your strength, and we wish your families well. Mr. Safe.
My name is Brock Safe. I am the father of 2 Annunciation Catholic school students, Estella in 8th grade and Astoria in 5th grade. Both girls have attended Annunciation since preschool, and we have been in the Annunciation community for almost a decade. On the day of the shooting, both of my daughters were seated on the left side of the church. My 8th grader Estella was thankfully unhurt physically, but several of her friends to her left and right were shot directly, including one of her best friends who only last week was released from the hospital. It is a miracle my fifth grader Astoria is still with us today. She was located next to one of the windows where the pathetic coward carelessly shot dozens of military-grade AR-15 bullets through the stained glass windows of the church. Astoria was grazed by a bullet in the forehead and another on the right side of her neck. In addition to this, she has multiple bullet fragments lodged in her head, which will most likely be there for the rest of her life. Astoria was literally praying next to one of her best friends who was murdered in cold blood by this monster. This heartbreaking tragedy is something Astoria is still struggling to understand and will most likely for the rest of her life. My 10-year-old daughter, along with many others, are left to cope with horrific images that only seasoned combat veterans experience on the battlefield. And again, they were praying in a school church when this happened. What our children and teachers endured is unimaginable, a devastating consequence of a nation that continues to prioritize their love of guns over the safety and lives of our children. This is why I'm here. What happened on August 27th cannot be erased. It must stand for something. This must serve as a catalyst for meaningful change. It is our responsibility to break the cycle and ensure it does not continue to repeat as it has for so damn long. We cannot continue to live in a society where a deeply troubled individual can walk into a gun store and buy assault-style weapons, these machines that have no rightful place outside of a war zone. Yet this monster was able to legally acquire an AR-15, which he then used to unleash 116 rounds in just 120 seconds, tearing through a church filled with terrified children and staff. I personally do not own guns, but that does not mean I'm anti-gun. I completely understand the want for it for protection and for hunting. What I don't understand is why high-capacity semi-automatic rifles, bump stocks, and extended magazines continue to be legally and easily accessible. We urgently need stronger restrictions and sensible reform to our gun laws to ban these type of weapons. We need to make it as hard as humanly possible for these type of monsters to hurt our kids. Nothing will bring back Harper and Fletcher, our sweet children who were taken from us. And we cannot undo the heartbreak and tragedy that unfolded at Annunciation on that devastating day. However, we have a solemn responsibility and a moral obligation to fight for children across America to ensure that no other child faces the same fate. We cannot and we must not fail them. Thank you for your time.